11-10 favourite for Ollie Murphy, John Hales and Aidan Coleman. 5-2 O'Hanrahan Bridge. It's Not You, It's Me, 4-1. 7-1 Frank's Fancy. Gaston Phoebus priced at 12-1. And then we quickly get to some very big prices indeed. Now, even money, the favourite, Grandad's Cottage.
The grey horse is number 10, White Turf, in blue with red stars and white sleeves, ridden by Fergus Gregory.
The afternoon, the son of Chantou, created a good impression when winning his point-to-point at Portrush when trained by Donegal Doyle. She's touching on a bit more maybe. I know it's different stables, time's gone by, but the third horse that day, who was some 8 lengths behind, was the Boss's Oscar, who, you remind me, earlier finished 5th in the Martin Pipe at last year's Cheltenham Festival. So, strictly through that, it looked a strong race. Ollie's been complimentary about the horse. It's nice to see him back on track.
It is, yeah, and obviously on the back of that impressive point-to-point win, he cost the pricely sum of 200,000 as a young horse. He was expected to go on to better things. He's had two runs in bumpers, neither of which were negative efforts in any way. I don't think he was never likely to be a bumper horse.
By Chantou, Chantou, you think of Chantou, you think of staying chasers.
Yeah, and he ran at Stratford. Now the ground was testing at Stratford, but obviously it's a sharp track around there, and he did run like a stayer very much, and I think he, even allowing for that, he may have won if he hadn't have met trouble on the home turn. He was beaten in a very tight finish by Honeymoon, who was also held up but kind of got first run around the bend. Grandad's Cottage did have a good crack at him inside the final furlong late on and kind of had every chance, but he'd done a lot of running to get there, having been stopped in his run. It was a promising display. I think the extra trip, extra half mile coming over hurdles, should see improvement from sort of the level that he was running to in bumpers, and we know that Ollie Murphy has got his team of horses in good form. Admittedly, they've been sending out plenty of runners, and there's been plenty that have been getting beaten at shorter prices as well as winning races, but as a rule the stable have got them very well forward.
Okay, second in is O'Hanrahan Bridge, who was first past the post at an Irish Point, a back end Irish Point in early June for Tom Keaton. Since joining Donald McKean, he's been consistent. You see them form figures of 2. What's he rate, 115 coming into this? Yeah,
and he's run to that sort of figure pretty much every one of his starts last season. Hanrahan Bridge, he's had a wind operation since we last saw him. When he did come here, as I said in the paddock preview, he just went out to his left a little bit at times, running on this right-handed track, but I'd expect Brian Hughes to have him up there handy. You can see the way they're going around down at the start. It very much looks that way for Hanrahan Bridge, and Donald's got his horses in good form at the moment. He's had a handful of winners over the last couple of weeks.
The way they're sort of circling, I know we're a minute and a half in post time, but it looks like he'll be ridden prominently like a lot of Donalds are. Likewise, It's Not You, It's Me, who is a maiden after 5 starts. He's 7 years young, but he's got a decent level of form in the book, and he's got a recent run.
Yeah, and that recent run, it can't be underestimated how big a factor it can be, particularly on a track like this stiff track here at Carlisle, where you don't get away with being 10% short of fitness, really. And the fact that It's Not You, It's Me has had that recent run behind him is an obvious plus. He did finish behind Frank's Fancy, and Frank's Fancy showed a really good attitude to win at Kelsey. He beat the 124 rated Looks Like Mert, who's an even higher rated horse over fences. And that was a good game performance from Frank's Fancy, in the manner of a horse that would appreciate a stiff track as well. He was really rallying in the closing stages.
Hugh Barkley and Michael Reid were just in the infield there. I wasn't sure if they were calling a doctor or a vet to check something over, but it looks like we're fine. Hugh Barkley is heading towards his rostrum for the first of 8 races. So for prompt start. Grandad's Cottage, even money, and to get off the mark over Timber. O'Hanrahan Bridge is 11-4. It's Not You, It's Me is 7-2. Frankly Fancy 8-1. It's 11-1 and bigger prices the rest. So looking forward to it, and see if Grandad Cottage can get the job done. Yeah,
we've got another ex-point-to-point here, Gaston Phoebus, who was placed in his point-to-point before, bought for 100 grand, and he's one of the first of a few runners on the card for John Joe O'Neill.
Okay. Hugh Barkley on his rostrum. Let's get up to the commentary box and join Malcolm Tomlinson, who's going to call the action.
Flag up.
Hi, Malcolm.
Hi, Niall. Hi, Martin. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, we're set to go here. Flags up. The runners are being called forward. And they're off for the Every Race Live on Racing TV. Novices Hurdle Division 1. One of the first to begin. It's Not You, It's Me as they head off towards the first of 11 flights of hurdles. Darlington just a little bit slow to leave the gate. It's Not You, It's Me with a share of it. O'Hanrahan Bridge and Lockmore also prominent towards the outside. And it's Lockmore who's gone through to lead here. Lockmore at flight 1. Gets over by a length to, in second position, O'Hanrahan Bridge towards the inside, and racing in company with that one is It's Not You, It's Me in the maroon with the white hoop sleeves at flight 2. Tucked in fourth position, Grandad's Cottage, racing just in advance of Frank's Fancy and then Gaston Phoebus. That little group followed through then by the grey horse White Turf. A little bit worse than centre pack is Storm Force 1, racing just in advance of Infinite Sun, who's sitting well back in the field. Also well back at this stage is Convivial. Darlington still towards the back. Just in front of those is The Gap. So down the hill they come, racing towards the foot of the hill and beginning the climb towards the first of 3 flights of hurdles in the home straight. And it's Lockmore in the 2 shades of blue, horse and a noseband, leading up by 3 parts of a length to O'Hanrahan Bridge racing second, white jacket, striped sleeves towards the inside. Next in the field is It's Not You, It's Me, followed through by Grandad's Cottage in the yellow jacket on the fence. Yellow and brown wide of him is Frank's Fancy. Gaston Phoebus next, tucked in 6th position. A couple of lengths back to White Turf, followed through by The Gap, who's made a couple of places in green and red towards the rear of the field as they head off towards flight number 4. Lockmore at the 4th, popped over nicely in front and landed by about 3 parts of a length. Slight mistake by Convivial towards the rear of the field. They're heading off to the flight, which will be the last next time. It's flight 5 on this circuit. And Lockmore and William Shanahan continue to bowl along nicely in front, popping over by a length to O'Hanrahan Bridge, who took that second, going the shortest way on the rail. Behind those in third is It's Not You, It's Me. A couple of lengths to Grandad's Cottage, followed by Frank's Fancy and then Gaston Phoebus. White Turf right in behind those as they race underneath us, followed through by The Gap. Infinite Sun is 4th last, Storm Force 1 is 3rd last, and towards the back of the pack, both Darlington and Convivial. They're past the winning post now and they're taking the right-handed turn. There's 12 to 15 lengths separating the runners, racing out into the country. Bit of a run before they leave the ground at flight number 6. O'Hanrahan Bridge has moved through for a share of it on the inside of Lockmore. Further length and a half back in third. Continues It's Not You, It's Me. 3 lengths to Grandad's Cottage on a tight rein in 4th place, followed by Frank's Fancy, who's next. Gap of 2.5 to Gaston Phoebus as they race down the hill. That one's followed by White Turf. The Gap still travels okay in red and green, just getting a little bit closer to the pace. Behind those Infinite Sun, then Storm Force 1, who got a tap down the shoulder. Darlington still well back, so too Convivial, as they begin to take rising ground again, once again on the far side of the track, and head off towards flight number 6. Lockmore back for more on the outside of O'Hanrahan Bridge. There's not much to choose between the two as they head off towards the 6th flight of hurdles, and pace just quickening a bit. They both hurdle well there, getting away by 4 lengths to It's Not You, It's Me. That's followed through by Grandad's Cottage towards the inside of Frank's Fancy. Behind that is Gaston Phoebus. Little gap opens up behind that. The Gap, who's trying to get closer from Infinite Sun, then White Turf. The rest are under pressure, heading down towards the next flight. They're past their point of departure. Here's flight 7. Lockmore on the outside of O'Hanrahan Bridge as they rise and land together. Once again, they're both fluent. A gap of 3 lengths behind that to, in 3rd position, driven along for a stride or 2, It's Not You, It's Me. Then Frank's Fancy and Grandad's Cottage as they negotiate the next. Gaston Phoebus is next. They're now well clear of the Gap, and then Infinite Sun. At the end of the backstretch, they're heading down the hill now. Then just the 3 flights to go in Division 1 of the Novices Hurdle. O'Hanrahan Bridge towards the inside of Lockmore. They're still locked together, the front 2. Bumped along in 3rd, It's Not You, It's Me. Frank's Fancy still travels okay. Grandad's Cottage just got a tap down the shoulder and a squeeze on from Aidan Coleman. And behind that one is Gaston Phoebus trying to pick up for John Joe O'Neill Jr. The Gap is trying to plug the difference between him and the front 6, but they take the turn towards the final 3 flights of hurdles. And Lockmore running a big race out wide of O'Hanrahan Bridge. A couple of lengths back to Frank's Fancy, travelling well. Behind that one is Gaston Phoebus, also starting to pick up as they take the rising ground. Just the 2 flights to go, dropping off them. It's Not You, It's Me and Grandad's Cottage. 2 flights to go then. O'Hanrahan Bridge and Brian Hughes towards the inside of Lockmore, and William Shanahan at the second last. Now joining battle is Gaston Phoebus out wide, and tucked in on the inside Frank's Fancy. Got a reminder, they're heading up the hill towards the final flight of hurdles. O'Hanrahan Bridge having to dig in. Gaston Phoebus working hard the near side. At the last they rise and land together. Mistake by Frank's Fancy. Lockmore keeps going behind. behind that. Inside the furlong they go. O'Hanrahan Bridge, the far side rail, the near side Gaston Phoebus trying to wear him down, and he's hit the front. Gaston Phoebus inside the final half furlong, just wandering across the track. Gaston Phoebus and O'Hanrahan Bridge, they drive towards the line. Gaston Phoebus goes on to win. Back in second is O'Hanrahan Bridge, Frank's Fancy and Locker Moore.
Yeah, good tussle in the opening contest, but it went the way of John O'Neill Senior and Junior. Gaston Phoebus has won first start for the yard and beats O'Hanrahan Bridge, who cut out the early running. And again, he's finished in second, but on a murky day in the northwest. That's a smart performance by the winner, who was third and is only starting an Irish point for Dennis Murphy.
It's a game strong staying performance. That mistake there that we saw from Hanrahan Bridge at the second last hasn't helped him, I don't think. It didn't knock his momentum too much, but when you're talking relative fine margins in a finish, it may have made a little bit of a difference to his finishing effort. He hasn't done a lot wrong at all for all that he's finished second. Again, that's 5 seconds on the spin for Hanrahan Bridge, but I'd be reluctant to knock him too much. I think he's still battled away and tried his best, but he's just not quite been good enough ultimately to hold on Gaston Phoebus in a well-run race where Hanrahan Bridge was always prominent or disputing the lead.
Yeah, he was bringing along with Lockhamore, and I agree that it was sort of evened and generously run, and the pace has held up. Disappointment is Grandad's Cottage, because Ian Coleman sort of tracked that pace in a nice position.
Yeah, he's been very disappointing, and he was labouring when we come to 3 out there. He's already beaten, really, Grandad's Cottage, so it's a disappointing hurdling debut for him. We know from his time in bumpers that he's a better horse than this. Maybe something will come to light, but on the day it's a disappointing run, and it's disappointing from the well-backed It's Not You, It's Me, who had fitness on his side but didn't go forward from his comeback run. As we come to the final flight here, just keep an eye on Frank's Fancy, just in the yellow colours in behind them, because he's starting to rally, but he makes quite a bad